Yo, welcome back to the Audio Theory Podcast. If you're new to the fucking channel, hit the like button as well as the subscribe button. What's good, Danny? How have you been?
Hit the fucking like button, bro. Hey, you know what that sounds like? Remember that Ashanti and Fat Joe hit from back in the day? Turn the fucking mic on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, great way to start the pod. I'm in a great mood. Great to see you, dude. I've been good, man. Weekend was straight. Went to Dallas for the weekend, which was a vibe, bro. Like 48 hours in Dallas. But man, we achieved everything we wanted to. Great time with the family, great time with the friends. Bro, honestly, and I told my girl this, dude, that was, I mean, I've been in the, I know how you and Sarah feel about having kids because we had a discussion a few months ago in person, but I've always been, especially like with the wedding coming up and everything, God willing, like, I've been like, yo, fuck kids, bro. Like, I don't want kids around. Like, if I'm trying to vibe the fuck out, like, that's the last thing I want. I remember a recent New Year's party, there was kids running around, and I'm like, bro, like, can they just go away or just go downstairs? Like, why the fuck are they here? And bro, this was the first time this past weekend at like my girl's, one of her friends' baby shower. Bro, and all her friends were there. They're all the same age as us, essentially. And they all have like their newborns or 1-year-olds. And bro, it was excellent, dude.
Nice.
Like, it was so nice. The husbands were just hanging out, drinking, playing fucking cornhole. I had fucking music going. And yeah, dude, it was just nice, man. It wasn't maybe because no kid was crying, but it was just a very good time. So I feel like that was needed as like, again, we're taking these steps towards like our future. They're like, all right, bro, like I could do this because I've always been like, yeah, I want to have a legacy. I want to have a kid, ideally a son one day, knock on wood. But dude, the recent Danny's like, bro, do I really though, bro? Like you know how much fun I have on my own and with my girl? Like, why the fuck would I want to share that? But and it was a good week. That's the first time I actually was like, oh, dude, this is a very dope experience.
That's amazing. And I'm glad you brought it up. It's funny because we were actually talking about it at work because one of my favorite coworkers, she's been on leave, has a baby, and we were talking about how cute the baby was, but my boss was like, I still wasn't like, oh, I want to have another one because she knows how chaotic her second one was. And I think I just learned like with kids, it's just really a hit or miss. And I think that's why
when you say hit or miss, you mean like either you want it or you don't?
No, hit or miss as in like you don't know what the kid's gonna be like, even if you have, even if you know how you're gonna raise it. Because my boss was like giving advice to this coworker and said, you know, with my second kid, she was a nightmare. My boss complains about her all the time, and she's like, I was under the impression my first kid was so easy because I was such a great parent, but at the end of the day, like their personality, you kind of don't really have that much control over. So I guess that's something a lot of people who choose to be child free are afraid of is I can still do everything right, have my finances order, and still give birth to like an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, dude, you can give birth to King Vaughn, which we'll get into later on. No, dude, that's facts though, dude, because the main reason we went back to Dallas was because my soon-to-be sister-in-law had her second child in the last 18 months. I guess they call them like Irish twins. So the firstborn is 13 months and the newborn is 2 months. And bro, they were saying how easy they thought it was with the first one. And now they're like, oh, this is different. You know what I mean? This is a different experience. I'm like, yeah, bro, you have fucking 2 of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, but overall a great weekend, good for the soul. Nice. And then really these next couple weeks is just getting ready for Spain, and I know you're getting ready for a trip too. So definitely excited about that. But how about you, bro? Your weekend was looking super lit. So I definitely want to know, like, what was that setup? What was the celebration? How were the vibes? Definitely want to talk about that.
For sure. Yeah. So my boy Moon, who you know, he has been working towards his bachelor degree for quite some time now. So he finally, I believe this past weekend was his final exam graduation actually. Like it was all virtual. So he coincidentally his favorite like EDM artist Harlow was performing in LA. For some reason, not in the Bay. So he's like, I really want to celebrate, you know, over there and go to this concert. If you guys are down, he's like, you know, I'll get a table and everything. So my wife and I were hesitant because we're not a big fan of this kind of EDM, especially because it's a lot more like emotional, I guess.
Okay, but it's like the one where like heavy like pop singer singing throughout, or no?
Kind of. It's hard to describe. It's almost like the high pitched like anime sounding like vocals in the background, but
Okay.
still like the beats kind of hit hard. But it's not like Skrillex where, you know, if you like hip hop, you know, it's kind of an easy transition.
Yeah, there's no hints of hip hop in this.
Yeah. I mean, he did do like Crank That Soulja Boy, like EDM like infused remixes and stuff, and Mo Bamba. Was it Mo?
Yeah, Mo Bamba, yeah.
Mo Bamba. Yeah, so he did have that sprinkled in, but in any case, like if I have a few drinks, I can figure out how to have fun, especially if I'm with people I love and care for. So yeah, we used that as an excuse to go to Orange County specifically. So took a super
where Sarah, your wife's family's from, right?
Yeah, her family. So yeah, I ended up staying there, and we just kind of hung out in Orange County for a couple of days and flew back. But it was a nice, fun short trip.
Nice, dude. Yeah, dude, it looked epic. You guys, like, yeah, because again, like I feel like as we get older, the idea of being in a club and getting a table sounds like the least appealing of anything we can ever do. But like, there are those moments where you're like, damn, bro, that would be fire. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm glad you guys. It seemed like you guys experienced that night. For sure.
Yeah, it did feel kind of cool. Seeing the sparklers come through and you know, everyone's staring at you. It's kind of egotistical in a way, but at the same time, I don't do that very often at all. So it was nice.
Like the last time we probably did that was like your bachelor party or something. Yeah. Like when is that ever gonna happen? So
right.
Yeah, because even like here, like we were thinking about doing one like last year to end like the year. And I was like, bro, why? Bro, like bro, how much are we paying for like that one moment of like ego boost, and then like, but again, when you're on a trip, when you're away, like it's so easy to justify that because you're like, yeah, let's fucking do it.
Yeah. 100%.
Nice, man. So I'm glad you guys made it safe. And then you got Bali coming up, what, like in 2 weeks?
Yeah, in 2 weeks, heading to Bali. It's kind of a jam-packed trip because it's so far. So we're forcing ourselves to see like other nearby countries.
Sure. So what's the, just to give the people a rundown, what's like the exact itinerary?
Yep. So we fly directly to Singapore first. We're essentially there for, I want to say like a day and a half. And then we go to Australia, Sydney, Australia, to be specific, for like 5 days, I want to say. Wow. Then the wedding in Bali, we're there for like 2.5 days because we've already been to Bali once. So we're probably never going to go to Australia ever again. So, because it's so far. So we're spending the majority of time there. And then the mistake is we're finishing it off in Tokyo. I say mistake because we're like, oh, fuck it, let's add in Tokyo, but we don't get there till like midnight, and then we leave like at 4 p.m. the next day. So we really, if you factor in sleep, we got to get up early and just hang out for
wait. So it's like
hours.
you land at 12 p.m. and then you leave 16 hours later?
So we landed like 11 p.m. Got to go to the hotel, straight to sleep, and then we leave our flight leaves at 4 p.m. the
so you
morning
just have like
we
a morning in Tokyo?
Essentially. Yep.
Yeah, well, that's a mistake, my point.
And the reason why the mistake even made sense to us at the time was I forget if I told you about that new airline that for now
like the one that goes to Hawaii and stuff.
Yeah, so we knew we were gonna be tired and wanted like the reclining seats and shit, but we didn't want to have to spend, I don't know how much that would cost like on a regular flight, probably several thousand. But with this it was cheaper, so we're like, oh, maybe we should just go to Tokyo so we can take it back. But I don't know if it's worth the hassle at this point, thinking about it.
Damn. But that's it, it's already booked, right? Everything's good, locked and loaded. It is what it is. So
it is what it is.
Okay,
first world problems.
But I remember this is what the serious first world problems, bro, for sure. But Australia was gonna be dope because like that's the first time you and Sarah have been there together.
True. Yep.
Nice, dude. That's awesome, bro. Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. So probably next week will be our last episode before June, and then we'll come back second half of the year up and running. Because I got Spain coming up next week, which I'm excited about, bro. took your advice from Mallorca, helped me understand that. So Madrid, 3 days, Mallorca, 4 days, Ibiza, 4 days, back home.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Bro, I'm so excited, bro. Like, honestly, it took me a while to get hyped because, again, dude, that's like the gift and the curse. Again, more first world problems when you're, because of Gina's job situation, that we fly for free, right? So you're like, oh, it's just a fucking flight, like, whatever, bro. But then now, when you start booking like the excursions and like the hotels and the flights within Spain, I'm like, oh wow, this is like a trip. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So
are you guys doing a boat too?
Yeah, we're doing a boat, bro. Like, and it's funny, man. Like, so I sent her like the itinerary, and I'm like, hey, on this day in Mallorca, we're getting a boat. But I'm like, it's a group boat. All right, like we'll do a private boat, like for our honeymoon or some shit. Because I'm like, bro, like this is a dumbass trip in the first place. Like we're just doing this like at the worst fucking time financially, but we're trying to save every cent for a wedding. But I was like, it's a group boat, bro. It's gonna be like 6 other people. We'll make the most of it. Like, fuck, because like even like I mean that's what it is in Europe, bro. I remember when I went to Greece, we did a catamaran tour, but it was like 10 other people on the boat. So it's all good, bro. Like it's all gonna be a great time.
For sure. And I've done a couple of those too. I mean, the last one I did was in Mallorca, and it never feels like overwhelming. Like if you don't end up liking the group, like you can just mind your business and they're not going to bother you, and vice versa. They might be dope and it might enhance your experience.
It might enhance it. We might grab a drink with them afterwards. It's actually, we're doing it on our last day as well in Mallorca. And it's like the one that we got includes like unlimited alcohol for all 4 hours. So dude, either way, it's going to be like a fun time. So I'm not worried about it, dude. But yeah, excited for us. God willing, all those things come out and we have a great time. And obviously we'll talk about it on the pod, but let's get into it. Episode 141. Episode 140 is currently everywhere, talking about AI and how it continues to take over the music industry. So definitely go peep that on all platforms. But we wanted to do a little bit more of a timeless thing, but also something that I do believe a lot of people have been talking about pretty extensively over the last like 2 to 3 weeks. And that's the recent, well, not recent, but whatever, the King Von documentary by, is it Trap Lord Ross? Trap Lord Ross. Yeah. Trap Lord Ross, dude. 3.5 hours, extreme detail about King Von's life from him being like 12 till like the day he died. And we'll chop it up about all that. But quick shout out to him, Trap Lord Russ, because bro, like this is, if you remove, and again, I don't have the technology to do this, but if you remove all the clips of like other people talking, it's still him talking for like 2 hours and 50 minutes straight. Like that in itself is so fucking impressive, bro, because I'm like, how did you even have the bandwidth to create all this content? Like in like, obviously not one shoot, but just still like, it's a lot, dude. So shout out to him for even putting this content out. And it seemed from like the other thumbnails, like he has a bunch of these, right? He basically does these mini documentaries on mostly hip hop related events and people, but yeah, he has a ton of them. Yeah, so shout out to him. If you guys haven't peeped that or any other ones, I definitely highly recommend it just off the King Von one alone. But dude, I'll throw it over to you, man, because it's your topic. Where do you want to start when it comes to the documentary, his life, all of it, dude? Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm really curious. One, if you were aware of how much King Von allegedly had done and quote unquote kept it real in the streets, and what was there anything that really surprised you within the documentary that you didn't kind of already suspect? Sure. So King Von, and for you guys, again, may he rest in peace. We did an episode about King Von the moment he died, right? Like literally, I think he died on a Tuesday, and we were already recording on a Wednesday, so we kind of just jumped into it, right? But dude, I was only familiar with him like around the time he released that album, right? Because I remember him being on Complex. Everyone's talking about how good of a rapper he is. Academics is saying how like detailed his rap approach is. He's getting praise, like fucking like in the video, like LeBron's fucking bumping his music and shit, right? So I was like, oh, dude, like how sad that a young rapper who was on his way up got killed, right? That was my initial thought back in 2020, sorry. And then, so to hear that side of it, that he was allegedly this aggressive and had these many bodies to his name, I'm like, oh, like, bro, honestly, if I would have knew I don't think I would have been as sympathetic at the time of his murder. And that sounds terrible. It is what it is. You'll watch the documentary, get our point of view. And then also, dude, the documentary helped me get a better understanding, even though we saw the Quando Rondo interview with Angela Yee.
Yeah.
I think the way Trap Lord explains how the murder went down, how King Von got gunned down, it just kind of gives you better context, like what the fuck happened that night. Because I didn't understand the whole, like, he was at a random hookah spot by himself and he didn't tell his security guards, and then he just sucker punched Quando Rondo, like all that stuff, like I had no idea about it. So I think that was helpful, just to, not to put like an icing on the cake, but kind of just give me the full spectrum of, what went down that night, which is it's helpful because again, you don't, I was confused as someone who's not too involved with like Chicago rap like that, about like that they had beef. And like, it seemed like that this was a premeditated thing to kind of just catch this guy off guard. Mm-hmm. But without knowing what I saw in the documentary, it felt like, oh, bro, they killed this kid when he's fucking by himself. Like, what a bunch of pussies kind of a thing. How are they off? How is it self-defense? Blah, blah, blah. So that really helped me get better context.
For sure. Yeah, I think Trap Lord Russ did a really great job with that. And as far as me, I think the main thing that really shocked me was just how public he was with the things he allegedly was responsible for. I had no idea. I heard rumblings here and there like, oh, King Von's responsible for this person's death, or he's really about that life and this and that, but I didn't know the severity of it. Mm-hmm. And it was just shocking to me, his willingness and openness to talk about these things and taunt people on Twitter. And while I would never say he or any of his ops or whatever, like, we should be happy that they're, in the grave right now. It doesn't shock me that he ended up in a situation where his life was taken. And I guess the crazy thing for me is just everything seems so hypocritical in a way. Like, on one hand, I don't know if Trap Lord Ross said it in this documentary or a follow-up, but the fact that Quando Rondo's team's response, was warranted and kind of valid, at least from a street perspective. Mm-hmm. You're getting attacked and then someone pulls out a burner or whatever, and then, diffuses the situation. But if roles reverse, like, people would be championing King Von and, saying, oh yes, he's like the realest dude ever, simply because we like his music. And I still find it crazy to me that even after the fact of him allegedly being a serial killer or whatever, people are still like finding it very difficult to critique his behavior.
And so was that the majority of the feedback on like the comment section?
Yeah, not necessarily his comment section, because I think it was a lot of his audience who like isn't from the streets, but there was a street dude from Chicago who, he's not tied to King Von, but he's tied to the streets, and he academics Trap Lord Ross and who's the dude from who was on TMZ, the black dude?
Oh, Van Lathan?
Yeah, Van Lathan. They were all talking about it and basically saying, he's a British white dude who like doesn't know anything about the lifestyle, and he's like kind of dry snitching and defaming his character and stuff. And I'm like, but King Von is the one who's actively putting this information out there. It's not like he's digging this up and hacking his phone.
He didn't get his fucking personal journal and like,
right. And the thing that got me was the street dude said, he's like, well, where I'm from, like, the streets don't talk. Like, we keep this behind closed doors, because he refused to acknowledge that King Von might have been responsible for some bodies. But I'm like, if that's the rule, then why was King Von on Twitter like 20 minutes every day, taunting this death or whatever? And I'm just like, it's so hypocritical to me how you're accusing this documentary of like defaming him and being dry snitching, when King Von, it seems, wanted to be notorious for this stuff.
Dude, that's a great point, man, because the overarching theme, and I think this kind of like goes back to what we said about like 6ix9ine in the past, like when, when he would do an IG live when he's like in the middle of a fucking shootout. It's like, bro, what are you doing? I think the craziest thing to me, and the fact that it started so young, dude, because you start looking at the timeline of when he started posting, he was like 16, 17 years old. Like, bro, what is happening? But bro, like, especially when he got into like his 20s, and it was just like, I want murder today. I'm about to kill somebody today. And you're like, bro, what is happening, dude? Like, that was like, just so like appalling, shocking, like jarring. I'm like, bro, how is this a real thing? And bro, it was nonstop. Him just saying everything he was about to do, what he did, what he plans to do. And you're like, bro, and then how are you getting off of these cases? Because bro, like, it's one thing to say, oh, like I'm, if it's a movie or a song, like, yeah, that's just like character I'm playing. Bro, this is your verified account that you're just saying you dropped 4 bodies today. Like, what are you, like that was the part of me where, again, I think I resonate with the guy who did the documentary again, because like the comparison to Jeffrey Dahmer, like Jeffrey Dahmer, attacking gay black men because he assumed that the authorities would not care. Dude, that scene, that came through as well as like probably the second most jarring thing about it. It's like, damn, bro, like, I know, like we're desensitized to people getting killed in Chirac every day, right? Like there's tens of or hundreds of people every summer that get killed from gun violence. But bro, it's wild when there's clear evidence of someone incriminating themselves with all these people like allegedly get killed by him, and he's not even spending more than a couple nights in prison. Like, that shit was crazy to me, man. And it's sad because you're kind of like, oh, because these are all like black kids or black women, like no one gives a fuck, right? Because they're all poor black people. But if it's like a white girl or a white kid, if this happened in fucking Orange County, there'd probably be a fucking bigger investigation into someone's tweets about like what the fuck's going on.
Right. And I think people turn a blind eye especially because the victims might be guilty of murder or some heinous crime themselves.
Sure, that's a great point.
And I think a lot of people are just quick to say, instead of critiquing the music or the individual, like, let's blame it on the environment and kind of call it a day. And I get it. I mean, clearly King Von's a product of his environment. If he was born in some nice suburb, I highly doubt he'd be doing this stuff. But at the same time, it seemed like he was particularly like on a mission, bro, just to cause destruction. Like, it wasn't like, a stereotypical situation of, I'm a gang member, I'm just going to defend myself if someone's, trying to mess with me or someone I care about. It was like for breakfast, he wanted to slide on people.
Yeah, like I think he tweeted something with the phrase, but dude, like he was giving pure menace to society vibes. Like, bro, like I'm out for fucking carnage, and it's not because you rolled up on my neighborhood unannounced. It's like, nah, dude, like I'm awake and I want to just fucking kill someone today. Like that's how those tweets felt, bro. Because yeah, especially like when you start like the last 4 or 5 bodies, he said he was like allegedly a part of those people been getting killed, like. Because like the NBA YoungBoy thing, right? It's like, bro, like why are you beefing with a guy from Louisiana? Like, how does this even how do you cross paths besides like, yeah, like, I just want to be violent with someone else today, kind of a thing. Like that shit was also very weird, man. But so question for you though. So we have like tons to dissect from this documentary. But was there anything from the documentary that you felt was like a reach, or maybe Trap Lord was just maybe giving too much attention to and trying to paint a different narrative than what really the true narrative of Von is?
Yeah. I do think it was a little bit of a reach to with the comparison to Jeffrey Dahmer and targeting only black men and whatnot, because I think obviously King Von did target black men, but I think it was really more so a gang affiliation thing and a byproduct or the circumstances were that he was in Chirac or whatever, and it just so happens the police don't have like the resources to necessarily care. But I don't even think he necessarily cared about being caught. So I think for him, he just wanted to wreak havoc on who he thought were his ops, He dehumanized them, and he just wanted to be the toughest and baddest. Whereas someone like Jeffrey Dahmer, I think they were a bit more strategic he was a bit more strategic or fetishized black men or something, to the point where he's like, well, if I go after these guys, I won't necessarily get caught, or maybe I just hate black men for whatever reason. Whereas I think pretty much every gang that has ops might think the same way, but might not be as vicious as King Von appeared to have actually been.
Yeah, because in the South Side of Chicago, that's just a demographic. You know what I mean? Like if there was like a Hispanic gang members in that area, then his ops would have been Hispanic. So like yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. For me, dude, because my thing was, it felt like, and we've had friends like this loosely talk about, like, people who have like conspiracy theories, right? And they get information and they're like, this is very matter of fact, right? And like, I just wish overall I wish that there was like more phrases like allegedly, or this is what I think. It just felt after like a 3.5 hour documentary, he's like, no, this is what happened. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, again, I don't think he truly says it that way, but the way the information is being presented, it's like almost like there's no room for interpretation. It's like, no, bro, this is what the fuck happened. And I just wish there's a little bit more like, hey, this is what I perceive, just more like, hands up, caution, like, as opposed to like, here's who he is. He's the first serial killer ever in hip hop. I'm like, bro, all right, bro, we don't know for sure though, dude. Like,
yeah. I do agree. It felt a little exaggerated at times. He did say after the fact that a lot of these reports or statements came directly from like the Chicago newspapers and stuff. So he's using that at least to validate some of the claims. But I do agree. A lot of it seemed like hearsay from Twitter. Like, even if he is, coincidentally taunting someone at a certain time, like obviously he's part of a gang where they could have carried out stuff on his behalf. But yeah, the serial killer aspect of it, I mean, it's definitely a sensationalized title. By his definition, he is one. I just don't know if
it's like, what, technically the Webster dictionary is like more than 3 kills, right?
More than 3 kills, like within a certain time frame, like a short time frame, essentially. Okay. So not like a mass shooting or anything, but like premeditated during 6 months or something like that. But I think just given the environment that they're in, the proximity to like these gangs would make it so easy to carry out these murders. Like, there's probably so many gang members who have attempted all kinds of drive-bys and stuff and might be in a similar situation. So to me, it's like, all right, well, there's probably a lot of so-called serial killers in this industry then.
In hip-hop?
Yeah.
I mean, based off his definition of it. Yeah, no, I get it for sure. How did you feel about the Lil Durk dynamic and like the way that he's portrayed, as in like co-signing all this, being a part of it, the works? Like, how did you like your like breakdown of that part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought this whole thing was unfortunate because the footage of them together, it seemed like they like were genuinely having fun and smiling, which
or at
I
least
don't
like
think
very close friends, right?
Very close friends. And it seemed like all that tough guy stuff, that like aura, didn't exist when they were just like in the car or studio or whatever having fun. But I do agree. It seems like Durk has, like, ever since Von's passing, especially, adopted that energy. Like at times I even feel like he sounds like Von, like with the flow and the beat selection. So I don't know if it's fair to say like Von negatively influenced him, because I think Durk is probably the same person generally speaking. But I feel like he is kind of compelled to maintain that same energy that Von was on, because I feel like that duo kind of catapulted them to the heights that they are now.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, I mean, again, you may know more because, again, I've only been on Lil Durk, listening to Lil Durk more since, like, COVID. right? I truly believe that the first time I ever heard Dirk on a track was with Drake, Cry Now, Laugh Later, whatever that song, which was a COVID banger. And then I heard when he had like those 2 features on Nas's King Disease 1, I was like, oh, dude, this guy is fucking, very talented, right? And then, and then obviously you start hearing more and more, he gets bigger and bigger, his fame is through the roof, blah, blah, blah. But the way the documentary kind of portrays it is that there's like, Dirk comes across as this like up and coming rapper, getting a ton of success, right? And then sees an opportunity to kind of link himself in a very direct way with the streets. And like, he's doing everything he can to like kind of co-sign King Von. So like he can get more clout and like recognition for truly being about that life. And I wonder, like, to your point, like, I don't know if he was a negative influence, but it kind of feels like, again, I truly believe, like I said, they were close friends over time, but it feels like that relationship was almost like something that he needed out of like necessity. Like, I need the streets to know that I'm about this life. So regardless of what King Von is tweeting, or I'm gonna keep co-signing it, because like if these people think I'm a good rapper and I'm like as crazy as him, then dude, that's like a complete package, like in the in the industry that is gangster rap essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dirk genuinely wanted to see Von win. At one period, I did feel like Von was outshining him, like that period when he was going viral for all the crazy story songs that he was doing, part 1,
like
part
the
2,
6
and stuff.
months right before his album dropped, probably.
So I think during that period, Von definitely looked like the tougher Chirac goon or whatever. As far as how Dirk felt, I don't feel like he was necessarily trying to use it for clout or anything, but I feel like after Von's passing, it seems like he's trying to go back to the drawing board and just feed off of everything, all that momentum that they already had, and like not necessarily doing his own thing, because it seems like so many of the songs are about like getting revenge on his ops and sliding for Von and this and that. And I think a lot of it was fueled by the internet, basically saying he hasn't slid for him yet and all this and that, and I feel like that might be getting to him. So now he's trying to like prove he's that guy.
He's that guy. He's what Von allegedly was. I got you. That's a good point. I think for me also too, what's so jarring was when you see the lyrics. You know what I mean? Like, again, I wish, and like kind of like, I'm sure for copyright reasons he couldn't, but it kind of would have been nice to like hear the song like while the lyrics are like on the screen. Cause I'm like, bro, like on paper, I'm like, does this even fucking rhyme? You know what I mean? Like, does this sound good over a beat? But bro, those lyrics from like all parties involved, from Dirk, from Von, from Quando Rondo, from NBA Youngboy, I'm just like, Jesus, bro, like leave something for interpretation. You know what I mean? Like there's no like double entendres, there's no like cool analogies. It's like, no, I'm gonna find you and kill you, bro. It's just like, okay, man. Like, again, which is wild because I kind of get like when the DA of Fulton County is like bringing charges on rappers, it's like, bro, like, do you understand? Like, you said this, like you said exactly what happened, and this is what happened to this person. Like, so that part is like wild to me, bro. And like, again, which is also crazy how like he was never properly prosecuted, like shit never like went down. And like you just see these lyrics and you're just like, bro, like I feel like you could only hide behind the thing of like art for so long.
Yeah, right. And I think it speaks to how low the barrier is to getting into the entertainment industry and making it big, because I was actually very impressed, how good of a rapper he became. And it's not like he had been rapping his whole life. Like, wasn't it just in jail or something he had started?
Yeah. I think he was when he like turned like 20 or something.
And I went back and listened to some of his album, and I'm like, he genuinely knew how to like write a proper song with melodies. I'm sure obviously he has industry ties. He can get advice from Dirk and whoever else, but regardless, you can't make someone a star just because you feel like it. And it made me ask myself, who ultimately is like responsible for entertainers who are maybe actively involved in crime, getting into the dry snitching conversation of, don't talk about this, but talk about that. Because anytime people talk about these artists, they love to say, you're not from the streets or this clique, like, don't speak on it. But at the same time, you're getting paid millions of dollars and you're voluntarily, giving the public info into what you've done, what you are doing, and glorifying it. So, do we blame the labels? Do we blame the artists? Do we blame the consumer? And I can never really pinpoint who should take the blame, because the label is just, they're there to make money and, supply the demand. People like you and I, whoever else, we're just trying to hit the gym and, get some muscle. And then the artists, they're just trying to live and make money to feed their family. So I don't really know who we can blame.
It's us, bro. We're the issue. Like, we're the issue.
The consumer?
I think it's consumer. I think it's consumer. Like, because the consumer were to demand that we stop putting this out and like stop, but they don't, bro. Like, we don't. We enjoy it. Like, there's always those memes of me listening to, gangster rap while I'm on my 5th cup of coffee on my way to work at my 9-to-5 job. Like, that's just a realistic thing, bro. Like, so I think it's a consumer, man. Like, it's a consumer. Like, we eat this shit up. The fact that this guy's entire album, which is 20 songs of him just killing his ops or planning this ops murder, debuted at number 13 on the fucking Billboard Top 100 albums is crazy. You know what I mean? And that just goes to show that, dude, these guys do crazy numbers, man, especially when it's based off streaming and it's not like actual money being put, you're not going to Sam Goody to pay $12 for a disc anymore. Like, the consumption is so much easier. So yeah, I think it's the consumer's fault, bro. When we tell them that, yo, we're not fucking with this anymore, they'll stop putting it out. But we keep fucking eating up, bro. Like, we do, bro. Like even like, I think, was it last weekend or the weekend before, where there was a famous, like a boxing match against Tank and Ryan Garcia, and Chief Keef came out to it, right? Like, Chief Keef is cut from the same cloth, bro. But the internet lost their mind. Like, Chief Keef, the king. Like, yo, I fucking love this dude. It's like, bro, okay, but it's the same thing. Like, it's just, you can't be mad at King Von and also like love Chief Keef. So it's just, I think it's just us, bro. Like, we're so flimsy with the thought of it. Like, we're shocked when it happens to our favorite rapper, to your point earlier, right? We're like, dude, if roles were reversed, King Von is being applauded for standing his ground and, doing his thing because we liked him better. That's a simple fact, right? But I don't think, and unfortunately, I don't think it's stopping anytime soon, bro, because, again, these things happen. Obviously, the documentary is jarring when you watch it, but we'll move on. And if Lil Durk has a banger next week, we're like, bro, run that shit back. So it's tough to like not point the finger at anyone but us.
And I think the tough thing too is, in hip hop, we value authenticity so much that even if the authenticity is, completely shrouded in negativity, for some reason we still want to champion it. And hip hop is such a masculine sport even now, that if someone is being super macho and talking about beating people up and killing people and robbing people, it just seems a lot cooler and less soft. So we just turn the other cheek or whatever and blindly accept it.
Yeah, dude, I think we also love to think that we are above this as society, right? Because like we've evolved, but at the end of the day, though, we also have like animal instincts going back to like pre-Christ days, right? Not to get fucking like crazy biblical or whatever, but like think about the movie Gladiator, bro. Mm-hmm. Like all those people in the crowd, kill them, let them survive. Like, bro, like that is the same thing, bro. Like we would never want to be in the pit, fucking battling for our life, but we'll watch it and we'll fucking enjoy it. And then we'll go about our day and like live our lives, right? So I think we still view this as like not real, right? Like it's not a real thing to us because it's not in our day to day. But again, I feel like this is a part of our DNA going back to forever, dude. So that's why, even though I think we are to blame, like I feel strong about that. Like I don't see us changing, bro. To be perfectly honest, like I don't, man. Like, I don't know what it will take for us to be like, yo, enough's enough. Because, bro, like, it's not the censoring of the music or whatever. Like, that's not going to make it work. So, yeah, I just think this is, unfortunately, unless the music industry gets together and they say, yo, we're not putting this out anymore, we're going to make the consumer change their, appetite. Yeah, I think this is unfortunately going to be the thing moving forward. Yeah,
I agree. And I think social media makes it even worse too, because now you have some random 12-year-old, white kid who knows just as much, maybe if not more, about the street beefs and triggering words and stuff. And in a lot of these, every single time like this sort of topic comes up, there's always like some old head who says, you don't understand like the amount of trauma and mothers that are hurt behind this song or this beef, and which is 100% valid. But when you're making hundreds of thousands, if not millions, off of these songs, like it's going to end up in the hands of people who don't care because they're so far removed from the situation. But they want the money too. So it's like, you got to take the good with the bad. Like there's going to be people instigating, documenting what's going on. And that's just like the name of the game if you want to be famous, essentially.
Yeah, no, dead ass. I totally agree with that, dude. Yeah, it's tough, dude. It's tough. You know what was also funny throughout the documentary, or at least a thought that I had? Because again, remember, he was tweeting like crazy from like the age of 16 about like these things, right? I'm like, bro, who you tweeting to? Like, who's reading this? Like I like that he had like the full screenshot, because like over time you see that retweet number like go crazy.
Yeah.
But initially I'm like, bro, 5 people saw this.
It's probably like the one op that he knows following him, but that is funny because I remember seeing like one maybe one comment.
I'm like, bro, and the same thing with his IG lives, like before he started rapping. I'm like, bro, you're on live for like 25 people, bro. Like, who is watching this? Like, that's like again. I know IG live is like there. It's a tool that everyone uses. I never have for whatever reason, because like the idea of that is just like weird to me. But like, dude, clearly like Zuckerberg knows what the fuck they're doing, because bro, like when they were like IG live in like a conversation, like him and his girl, I'm like, bro, why is this like on a public forum, bro? Like, if you miss your girl because you're locked up, just talk to your girl, like to like stuff like that like not just hip hop artists, like all celebrities do, or influencers. I'm like, all right, dude, I guess you have like 20,000 people tuning in, but like, do we need to know this, bro? Like, why is this being shared with me?
Right. I mean, I think if I had to guess, I feel like he was so transparent, maybe because he knew he wasn't like famous at that time, and that the only people who would care and come across those tweets at the time would have been, people tied to the streets who wouldn't snitch. And then I think for him, it was just kind of like a therapeutic stream of thoughts where he could just like get what he wanted to say out there to the ops, even if he wasn't sure if they were checking or not. Because I'm sure over time his tweets got a little less aggressive once he became famous. Like I think Dirk was. I mean, I don't think he was monitoring it, but I don't think he was posting as like super incriminating things like, oh, this person died at 8:59. Like, how do y'all feel about that? I think it transitioned to him just taunting like NBA YoungBoy and saying, I screwed your girl.
Yeah. You're right. It was about like, you're right. It wasn't like this 40 make you do 40 like with circles or whatever. You're right. But it was still pretty bad though. It was still pretty aggressive. And I also would say one thing, which I think the Trap Lord Ross even agreed, but like that was a reach. But like when he tried to tie in him always eating cereal to him being a serial killer, I was like, bro, stop.
Yeah.
Like just like we gotta. That should have been edited out from the entire documentary, bro.
Classic YouTube like clickbaity stuff. I'm pretty sure he knew that wasn't worth it, but I mean, we're talking about it right now.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, that part I was like, bro, stop. But it was again the what was the rapper that allegedly he was involved with, FB Duck.
FBG Duck. Yeah.
Yeah, that part, like dude, that snippet of like him on the live with like academics being like so nonchalant.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, bro, this motherfucker, he did it. You know what I mean? I'm like, there's no way he didn't do it.
Yeah. But then I tried to like throughout the documentary put myself in his shoes, and I'm like, if I knew someone had like was part of some group that killed one of my cousins or brothers or something, like would I have the same energy where I'm literally on the inside just so angry and vengeful that like I could laugh about the demise of like their leader or someone up there? So I get it, but I don't think we've come across or seen like rappers or entertainers behave this like ruthlessly on camera.
No, never, dude, never. That's why, again, it's jarring and it's way more context. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It was insane. It was very well done. But to your other point earlier, like it's also impressive how quickly he became like a very good rapper, because we can say whatever it is, but bro, like those 6-7 months before that album dropped and the album itself, it's good. It's good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The way he flows, dude, he's almost like a documentarian or whatever. Cause like, bro, like, yes, it's very detailed, but bro, like a lot of people try to do storytelling in hip hop and fail miserably. Like this still sounded very good. And he had like a very believable flow. So yeah, again, man, like I still think like it's a loss for music, but if he did do all these things allegedly, it almost like this seemed very inevitable kind of a thing. Even though it happened somewhere that wasn't in Chicago or whatever, like this stuff seemed very like inevitable.
Yeah, it's inevitable. And I just really realized that the consumer generally only cares about the music, because if the better artist is the one who died in these situations, we get up in arms. But roles reversed, again, people would be laughing at Quando Rondo for passing away, and just because his music's mid or whatever people want to say.
Yeah, the music is mid though, right? We agree with that.
Quando Rondo?
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't heard too much of it. From the 1 or 2 songs I've heard, like it's just not for me at all. I would say 100% King Von's music is better, but it feels odd to be like, that's the only reson why I care. Yeah. I wish he was living, like just so he can show up on my Spotify next week. Like it just feels, it's a weird thought process to have.
Yeah, no, dude, very weird. But thanks for telling me to watch it. We highly recommend it for everyone, just to get a better understanding of his story. But again, none of that stuff is like 100% factual. To make sure you go with it like aware of that. Dude, speaking of deceased rappers, real quick before we jump into the next topic, it was confirmed that there is no more Pop Smoke music in the vaults. So whatever we got is what it is, right? And that made me think of 2 things. One, like they shouldn't have fucking rushed that second album that we all agree was like terrible, right? Like actually try to make that better. And then 2, well, have you thought about AI?
I mean, we already have that. I don't know if you heard of Dusty Locane. I believe that's his name. He's another like Crip, I think Brooklyn artist who pretty much sounds identical.
Oh, sounds just like him. Yeah.
And to no fault of his own, because his natural speaking voice sounds just like Pop Smoke. So like Action Bronson and Ghostface, like you can't do anything if you sound like somebody. But it just so happens he also makes drill music and all that. But regardless, we don't even need him to exist for AI to come in and make Pop Smoke songs. But I definitely have zero interest in more drill rap to begin with.
And especially like artificially created drill rap.
Yeah. Like the stuff out now might as well be artificial because they're just copying each other.
100%. Yeah. And then, dude, again, back to like what we said last week about like the soul and the essence of it. Like, bro, like, especially that first Pop Smoke album, bro, and those 2 mixtapes prior, you're like, bro, like I hear the hungriness from this kid who, again, God bless the dead. Like, dude, 19, 20 years old, just trying to make it, got on, bro, walking in fashion week, like, bro, all these things happening, like, you hear the joy, like, bro, you're not going to be able to recreate that, bro. And then if I know it's already not him, I'm like, even if it does sound just like, I'm like, bro, I can't. Because, like, again, I feel like I picture that kid who was just like, bro, I'm going to make it no matter what. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's funny because like that was like the first one that came to my mind. Like I was like, oh, let's see what happens if like another album comes in 2 years.
Yeah, I think we kind of alluded to it in a couple episodes previously, but if I only see this AI stuff resonating with us if it's an artist where their story like doesn't really matter, and we just like need a club banger or something,
like a Kyle or like like the fucking I Am Dior or what's the guy's name? Or
Ian Dior.
Like, yeah, like these guys were like these guys who like we don't fucking know the story behind you, right? Like you just popped up out of nowhere, had a hit. You know what I mean? Honestly, like again, I know Rihanna's like beloved now, but you know, like if we would have, I think you said earlier, like if we would have found out like a bunch of her hits were AI generated, I'm like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I never think about her being like a songwriter or anything. Like I always, so yeah. But interesting times. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up as a side note. But the biggest thing we're going to talk about today is your boy, Jack Harlow, back in these streets with a new album called Jackman, out here topless in the suburbs next to garbage cans. Your thoughts on the release, the rollout, the product? I want to hear it all, bro.
For sure. I will say the rollout was surprising to me, just because it honestly came out of nowhere. For the longest time, ever since his album release, it seemed like he was doing everything but making new music. Yeah. A million. I feel like that song, First Class, had just come out yesterday because it was still getting played everywhere. And it looked like he was just living his life. And I wasn't too sure where his headspace was musically, but I definitely didn't think he was busy making anything new, because he's just been rolling with, you know, all his recent hits and performing across the world.
And they just started releasing the trailer for White Man Can't Jump.
White Man Can't Jump. So personally, I thought he was just content with life and music and had no intention of doing anything anytime soon. But
clearly the content said otherwise.
Yeah, the content said otherwise. And I was genuinely excited because deep down I knew this was going to be a response to the criticism in some way, shape, or form, especially considering the cover art, because the other two covers, or at least especially the first one, it looked like
flashy. I'm enjoying life. I'm rich. Suck my
everyone loves me. Yeah, like not a care in the world. If you have anything to say to me, you got to ask my assistant first type shit.
Yeah. 100%.
Whereas now he's just like, it seemed like he didn't want anything to do with that, with this cover art. So I'll start with the positive stuff. I have a couple notes here, but I really appreciated the vulnerability. I think that's what was missing from his at least past couple projects. There wasn't too much of that. Denver in particular, which I think a lot of people online are agreeing with, was executed beautifully. I felt like he was just so honest in that song and addressed everything we were all thinking, but he wasn't saying on social media. And I appreciate when artists use art to rebuttal the public as opposed to just some random rant on Twitter. So that was dope. I think generally it was an easy and mellow listen. There wasn't really there weren't any beats that were just, you know, awful to me, or any flows that were just super weird and off brand from what I'm accustomed to him. I think in general, he has a pretty easy flow and the production was pretty smooth overall. But that being said, when I first got into it and I heard the sample from the first song, I was like, oh God, like Common Ground and the theme of it and everything. The first couple songs, it was almost too blatantly clear that he was trying to seek approval from the hip hop heads and like go deep, and
like hip hop purists,
right? And I just don't like projects where everything's kind of obvious to me and I feel like I can predict what's going to happen. And I felt that way the first couple songs, even though I think he rapped well. That was my concern going into it. Like, oh, look, I'm the bad guy. Look, I can rap. Like, and there's no way you can say this sucks because I'm doing exactly what you want. And if you say this sucks, you just don't like me. Like, that's how I kind of felt the aura of the album was. And it kind of got monotonous with the production. Like, everything was a sampled beat. It was like every other song was basically saying how, you know, I can really rap and I'm ambitious, and, you know, no one liked me because of my last album. Like, I didn't feel like I needed to hear that for 10 songs. If there was a couple of songs or even an EP of a few songs as a response, like, hey, this is just a little side thing, but I'm actually
like a
another
Drake
album.
Scary Hours. Like, here are 3 songs just to keep your, like, you know, your palate, you know, wet.
Right.
But
like, just don't tell me that you're good. Just make something that's good and let me decide. Like, that's kind of how I feel.
Dude, that's such like a Danny line, bro. I'll tell you why I say that, because I went to see Selection in New York. Bro, wow, I saw Selection like 3 times last year, but I went to see Selection in New York. Like, dude, boys trip, me and my boy Sam, and then Joe K, who I love, bro. I told you this a million times, bro. Obsessed with Joe K, love Selection, love the whole crew. The reason we discovered a few artists is because of them, right? Love them. But, dude, he started his set, bro, with, hey, I'm going to take some risk here, but just be open-minded. And I'm like, bro, no, man, just be good. Yo, like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Stop. I don't have to be open-minded. You have to be good. And that line is how you described the album was great, bro. So, like, it's hard for me to disagree with you. So going into it, same as you, I was excited. I was like, bro, because deep down inside, I think we've all expressed maybe frustration with him, but how much we liked him, like him. We're like, bro, I want to see you up. Like, I want to see you winning, because, bro, like, the emotion you created with some of your first few songs, like, besides what's popping, we're like, bro, this guy's talented as shit. Like, when it all comes together, when he has the right production, when he has the right people in his ear, bro, this is gonna do crazy things. Mm-hmm. And yeah, bro, this album, I think my first text to you offline was like, bro, this guy really wants to be Drake so bad. Because what this reminded me was of, like, all, like, the B-side Drake stuff. Like, the songs that we're not saying are throwaways, but it's like, bro, like, I think one thing I wanted to keep asking you when I was listening to this is, like, in what mood am I listening to this shit to? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, am I high and, like, just want to look at the speaker and just, like, oh, I get it, bro, they hurt you. Fuck. You know, like, what mood am I going to be in, bro? Because it's not pre-gaming to go out to go to a club. It's not at the gym, because I tried it, bro. Like, it's not for the gym. So it's almost like, what mood do I have to be in, right? This also gave me vibes of, like, when Jadakiss was talking about his beef with 50 Cent at the time. And, like, that's when 50 was, like, dropping mediocre projects, I think he would agree. And it was like, bro, like, you just make music for people to get high and just vibe out to. Like, you know, which is fine. But again, that's not the Jack we fell in love with, bro. And like, your point is valid. Like, this album just felt like someone who heard the bullshit and was like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong, but I'm proving you wrong based off all the things you said about me. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, like, I'm going to prove you wrong and just put out good content. You know what I mean? Like, this felt too like, oh, you said these 5 things? Well, I'm going to do those 5 things and prove you wrong. It's like, no, bro, like, you don't have to do that. So, like, who the fuck are we, bro? Like,
right, yeah.
Like, who are we to tell you how to live your life? It would just, like, dude, like, make good content and we'll fucking love it. So that was the biggest thing for me, bro. Like, if it was one song about it, cool. But there was too many songs just trying to prove a point. It's like, bro, like, you won, my guy. Like, people are listening. Like, just make good content and no one's gonna give a fuck. Right.
No, you said that amazingly. I felt like, you know, he went through the comments and, like, pulled together the top 5 criticisms. Like, the beats are too commercial. You don't talk about, you know,
it's only
assault.
For women, bro. There was no girl tracks, like maybe one, but like
the no enhancers or whatever.
Yeah. There was no girl songs in this. Like, I feel like that was like a like premeditated, bro. I'm not gonna have anything just for females this time.
Right. Yeah. It felt kind of like he was bullied into making something that I don't know if he necessarily wanted to make. I don't know who his target audience really is, but I feel like his best pocket are those vibey songs where he's not taking himself too seriously. But unfortunately, I know that he loves the culture and wants to be taken seriously and respected and be in the top 5 conversation. But I just don't know if artistically, at least for me, if that's the person I see him as or even need him to be, because all the stuff I like prior, he was just having fun and he could be goofy or whatever and make a banger, kind of like White Lies. Like, we both love that song, and he didn't have to mention one like deep thought-provoking thing in that song, and I still think it's one of my favorite songs that I can think of. So I don't know where he goes from here, but
I was gonna ask you, remember our big conversation, that's cut you off, my bad, but like our big conversation last time when he dropped the last album was like, bro, he's on the clock now, right? And now this is the project we get. And again, it may come out into, hey, this was a mixtape, I was, just got done with my movie run and I just dropped it. There's always a story they can spin, right? But say it like, off this project alone, what are your thoughts on, like, all right, bro, like, so this is like, do we just like move on from him? You know what I mean? Like, or is he just gonna be this guy who kind of just does both rap and hip hop? Rap and acting, and we're just like, dude, fine, bro. Like, we all like you, no one hates you, but bro, I'm not like, oh yeah, put that Jack Harlow on anymore.
Yeah, that's a good question. This was the album where I thought a lot of us were gonna make the decision on, if he's, falling off completely, or if, he's destined to be the next great guy. I think he did play this one safe, unfortunately, so it makes it hard to say. I believe he didn't promo it just so in case it didn't go anywhere, people could be like, well, he didn't promote it and this and that, and that's why it didn't sell or make so much, or maybe he could convince himself of that. So I think he played it very safe, and that makes it difficult for me to know exactly if he's going to take a risk next or where he might go, because this is so drastically different from his last album.
Different, bro. So different.
Right. And his last album still had a couple songs that I like, but those were so commercial. So I'm like, I don't want that, and I don't want this. Like, just do a mix of both and do what you do well, and stop trying to be, greater than Eminem or Drake or whoever. Just like be you and make good music. I hope he doesn't care about, being the best lyricist ever. But from here, I feel like next he'll probably, it'll probably be more commercial, just because I don't think any of these are going to be hit worthy.
It has to be more commercial, bro. And it has to be a commercial hit. I think that shit has to be like, not on the radio, but you know what I mean? Like, bro, like, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's playing it. It's a couple viral TikToks. Like, bro, the works. Because, bro, this was, again, dude, at no point, though, again, almost like my Larry June take, at no point I'm like, the only time I said this is bad was, dude, that gang song? Dude,
yeah, gang.
I was like, bro, take this shit off. Like, I understand the creativity of it. I love the beat and how, like, the woman's voices was saying gang. Like, I get it. Like, I get it. But, bro, the song was, I think, poorly done. And, like, it was too, almost like Tavon. Too literal, bro. Like, bro, like, it felt like every lyric was a tweet about, like, I got up, I took a shit. I'm like, bro, I get it, bro. Kevin molested someone. Yeah. Move the fuck on, bro. Like, I don't need to know this shit. Like, it almost felt like, bro, why are you telling us this? Like, I don't need to know this.
I'm not gonna lie, I started laughing when it went into the first verse. I thought gang was gonna, I don't know where it was gonna go, but I definitely didn't think it was gonna go there. And I feel guilty laughing because it's a serious topic.
Oh, it's so serious.
The delivery was just so straightforward that I was like, I feel like this topic is important, but you need to leave a little room for interpretation and, like, I guess be a bit more creative with the storytelling, because when you just tell someone like, hey, blah, blah, R-worded a bunch of girls in a car, I'm like, that's awful. And I think everyone agrees that it's awful. So can we, like, I don't know. I didn't feel emotionally connected to the song in the sense of like, damn, that was deep and wasn't obvious. Maybe it isn't obvious for some people, but
bro, that shit was not hip hop fans then, right? But I would say I never thought the album was bad at all. Again, I agree with you. It was vulnerable, but I do think this was just like appease like the hip hop purists, so they can still keep giving him like not a pass, but like, all right, bro, cool, you're one of us kind of a thing. But I would say the literal part was an overwhelming thought I had throughout the project. I'm like, bro, like this is too direct, bro. Like there's no room for interpretation. Like I feel like the best artists kind of make us feel like, yo, this is like a soundtrack to my life, but there's also like room for like imagination. You know what I mean? Like let me think about certain things as you're saying them and like visualize it, as opposed to like this is exactly how it was. And I was like, bro, like fuck, man, all right. Like then there's like it kind of takes the fun out of it.
Oh, 100%. And I think it seemed kind of, so one thing I did resonate with was the fact that he talks about basically with this newfound fame of like wanting to be phoneless, and are the critics who write about me and stuff like that. Because as an artist, like even though I'm clearly not like at his scale of, you know, getting that kind of feedback.
Yeah, but everyone can relate to that, I can imagine.
Everyone can relate to it, but I think people don't understand, because I'm sure there's a lot of people even now who are like, you're a millionaire, you get all the girls, what are you complaining about? But I feel like people still forget that when you have a passion and you feel like it's kind of your purpose in life, or at least one of them, when everyone, or the gatekeepers especially, are telling you you don't belong here, like no amount of money is going to make you feel happy when you feel like your purpose no longer exists.
Yeah.
So I think people need to understand that. And Jack Harlow, unfortunately, I guess, isn't, you know, one of these lil, you know, mumble rappers who just want to make money and call it a day. Like he clearly wants to be an integral part of the culture. And I think that's what's going to make it trickier for him to find his place, because I think he's going to be hard on himself when it comes to the feedback.
Yeah. No, dude, that's a great point. But so not Heat of the Week yet, but what were like, say, one or two tracks you actually like thoroughly enjoyed? You mentioned Denver already.
Denver, yep. I just thought it was a beautiful track. It probably should have been the intro, in my opinion, because it kind of was a direct response to everything, which is why I didn't necessarily think he needed a whole album for this. But the other one I would probably have to say is, I think Ambitious. I believe I really liked the production on that one.
Okay.
So that was the main reason. Production on both of those.
Yeah. For me, it was Blame on Me. Because that was, I actually thought his hook selection for most of the songs were very good. Even the one I didn't like, Gang Gang Gang. But I thought Blame on Me was very good. There was, that one helped me reflect. I mean, I know you have like obviously siblings too, that like there's an age gap. It's like you start thinking about that. It's like that one actually did let me like imagine certain things in like my life, right? And that's why I also enjoyed it. It's like it was catchy. It was, yes, it was literal, but I think there was still room for interpretation. You can make it about yourself. So I thought Blame on Me was my favorite track.
That one's dope. And that one also did make me visualize things, especially having a younger brother and older brothers. And I think that topic was relatively rare.
Very rare.
I think that's why, even if it was a little literal at times, it was a new, refreshing
it almost
experience.
made me feel like, I'm sure you felt the same, like, oh fuck, you thought that too about your brothers? Because like I feel that, I mean, dude, like I'll say on the pod now, but like my brother that we had on the pod, Chris, like, dude, like him and I have a conversation every 6 months about like, he's like, bro, I'm sorry for being a shitty brother. And it's like, bro, it's fine. But it's like, yeah, I'm glad you know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like, dude, everyone gets that, right? Because I feel the same way, like, dude, am I not doing enough for my little brother kind of a thing? So, but yeah, so that was a very unique take on a topic I don't think anyone ever fucking talks about.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, dude, shout out to Jack. The criticism may be hard at times, but I think it's only because we give a fuck about what he could and can be. So again, I don't think this is the end of Jack at all, but maybe just going back to the drawing board and just focusing on, what do I do very well? And let me just keep doing that.
100% agreed. So what would you, just curious, would you rate this project.
Out of 10?
Out of 10 or out of 5 stars, maybe 5.
5 stars, man. 5 stars. Probably that's a better way to do it, but it's gonna sound harsh if it's not like a 4 or 5, right? But I would say 3 stars.
I'd agree. I was gonna say 3 as well.
Yeah, because I feel like 3.5, you're saying this is like a pretty good album, but just missed a couple places. And I don't think it's that. So that's why I think 3 is like clearly better than average, which is 2.5. But I don't think it's anything more than that.
Yeah, I think what's really missing for me, like you said, is the replayability. Like 5 years from now, I'm not gonna care what Jack's thought process was this year. Like there's no moments, not enough moments that will be applicable to us moving forward from this.
Dude, that's a great point, man. And that's something that I remember that Drake said a lot during his first 3 album runs. It's like, bro, I'm just trying to create timeless music where like you play that shit 15 years from now, you still get the same energy you get from today, right? So obviously blame on me, like maybe that's something. But the other songs, like it's all like so specific to like him being criticized today. So like if he's the man in 5-10 years, why the fuck would we listen to this album? You know what I mean? So so 3 stars, bro. Again, not terrible, but again, just we expect more from an artist that, you know, gave so much early on in his career. But dude, still plenty of time. I don't even think he's like 27 or 28 yet. Dude, he's young as fuck. So
no, he's got plenty of time.
He can figure it out, bro. Dude, again, I know we want to do a topic soon on an episode about like what people achieve at different ages, but I still remember like, 50 Cent didn't drop In the Club until like 31 years old. You know what I mean? So like,
that's crazy.
These guys have like so much time to like still make shit happen in their career. All right, Ben, before we get out of here though, bro, episode 141 almost in the books, but heat of the week, was there something at the concert or something that just like, stuck on replay for you?
Not at the concert, but in terms of new songs, there was one that came out. So this artist, his name is Amir Obey, and Obey spelled O-B-E. He came out with an album. There's one song in particular I loved called You. And speaking of evolution, so I came across this guy's music when I interned at Atlantic Records back in 2009 or 2010. I believe 2009. And he was a whole different artist. This was like MySpace era, big ass tees and snapbacks and stuff. And he made like pretty commercial music. He's from Brooklyn, I believe. But over time, he's kind of been mysterious. And I just know all I know is that he's like tapped in with the OVO camp because he has several songs with Party Next Door. Drake follows him. Still pretty low key, but his music now fits that like darker Party Next Door kind of R&B-ish vibe. So that's what I would expect from this album, but I really like that song in particular. What's the song again? I'm sorry, I called You, and then the artist is Amir Obey.
Amir Obey, and he just dropped this shit like last week, right?
Yep.
The album's called After.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna add both, bro. That's nice, dude. Very nice. Yeah, even the cover art gives that like dark Party Next Door energy.
Like let me be mysterious and all that.
Yeah. Cool. All right, cool. Amir Obey. Yeah, I never heard of him, man. I wonder if a couple of songs. I might go into like the other top songs and just see if like something like kind of rings the bell or something.
Yep.
Cool. Amir Obey is a good one. I think for me personally, man, I think over the weekend I started getting really into the energy of like going on this trip. So I kept thinking like European beach party boat energy. So bro, this is a oldie but a goodie. Stardust. I think it's a French DJ, but that song, Music Sounds Better With You. You know that song. Everyone knows that song.
Oh yeah, I do know that song.
Everyone
I love
knows that song. Like, it comes on at a club. You're like, bro, what the fuck? How'd you do it? So, Stardust, Music Sounds Better With You. As we get ready for beach season, party season, outside season, those kind of songs always get me in the mood. So I would just say, if you're excited about that energy coming up, I would say make sure that this song. I mean, just add the Audio 3 playlist. Obviously,
got it right
Yeah, bro. Everyone had. Did you already have it in your on your?
Yeah,
phone?
I already had it in my like Tulum playlist.
Exactly, bro. It's just that's the energy. It's like beach, having a great time, sunsets, prosecco in hand, like, bro. So hookah, dude. Thank you for shouting out the hookah spot. I'm excited that's a thing in Spain because that even crossed my mind.
Yeah. No, it's dope. That song reminds. I always, or not get it confused necessarily, but for me, it goes hand in hand with that one song by what is it? Mojo, Lady.
Yeah, Lady in Red. Or Lady.
Hear Me Tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Those two
bro.
songs go perfect.
The thing is, like, when I take over like the aux and I'm already fucked up, like I just play those two songs back to back, and everyone's just like,
I would.
They're like, bro, spread these out. I'm like, no, these are the only two songs I know like that. Like, fucking like.
Yeah.
But cool, man. Yeah, I'm excited to peep Amiro Bay for sure. This might be my deep dive tomorrow, actually. But all right, bro. Great episode. Everyone go check out King Von. But let the people know what we got going on, what's up and coming. Let's get out of here.
Yes, sir. Catch us at audio-theory.com. New episode every week on all platforms. Also, check out the Spotify and Apple Music playlist to get the new heat of the week as well. If you're on YouTube, check down below. We got a ton of merch for you to cop for the summer. And yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Obviously, we'll keep pumping out content and maybe come up with some new segments if anything interesting pops up.
Yeah, hit the fucking like button.
Do that shit.
All right, dude. Love you, bro. Talk soon.
Love you too. Peace.
Peace.